Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
A multi-jurisdictional investigation launched into an alleged plot to kill Jamaica's former National Security Minister. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Monday, April the 9th from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Sharon Coward. Good evening. Police in Jamaica say they are investigating a threat made on the life of former National Security Minister Robert Montague. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, says it's authenticating and identifying the source of the threat, which reportedly originated overseas. Montague was National Security Minister up until last month, when he was reassigned to the Ministry of Transport and Mining in Prime Minister Holness's cabinet reshuffle. We get more in this report from Andrea Chisholm of TVJ News.
Bounty on Bobby. New York gun smugglers in alleged plot to kill former National Security Minister. Chilling words on the front page of the Sunday Gleaner. Members of the criminal underworld are reportedly upset with the former National Security Minister because he is handing over scammers to the United States. The Jamaica Constabulary Force later confirmed on Sunday that it has launched a multi-jurisdictional investigation into allegations of the threats against Robert Montague. They are being assisted by law enforcement officials in the United States as the threat reportedly came from overseas. The JCF says it takes all threats seriously and investigates them, adding that actions have been taken to cover the minister's safety and security. In reacting to the news, opposition spokesman on national security Fitz Jackson said it's unfortunate and urged the police to quickly deal with the matter.
It cannot be the case that those who lead the fight against criminals, they themselves are put under threat by those whose business is to cause harm and destruction in the Jamaican people.
Meanwhile, the Sunday Gleaner report also described the gun route to Jamaica, from the United States to the Bahamas, then Haiti, and to Jamaica. The men usually travel by boat or small aircraft.
And I hope that the JCF and all the other security personnel do not relent in this effort to identify those who are responsible for making guns available to the Jamaican criminal underworld and to take the necessary steps necessary to bring them to justice.
Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Monday demoted his embattled Sports and Youth Affairs Minister Darrell Smith as he announced several changes to his cabinet. The move came less than 24 hours after the Sunday Express newspaper reported on the minister's alleged unwanted sexual advances on his personal secretary, which he detailed in a witness statement in support of her claim for wrongful dismissal at the Industrial Court. A brief statement from the Office of the Prime Minister said Smith was reassigned to the position of Minister in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Rowley will now take over the position of Minister of Housing and Urban Development, replacing Randall Mitchell, who has been appointed the Minister of Tourism. And former Tourism Minister Shamfa Cudjoe has been reassigned to Sport and Youth Affairs. Marlene MacDonald, who was recently returned to the cabinet after being dismissed on 2 occasions, is the new Minister of Public Administration and Communications. She had been serving as a minister in that ministry while the substantive minister, Maxie Cuffey, underwent medical treatment in the United States. Cuffey has been away for several months and his appointment has now been revoked. Meanwhile, opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar believes the former sports minister should not be in cabinet in any position at all. She says Smith should be totally removed from government. Persad-Bissessar says simply moving him from one position of authority to another is akin to rewarding wrongdoing.
What about a woman in the HDC, in the Ministry of Housing? How will he continue to function as an MP when it is that we have revelations that a woman went to him for assistance in his office, and then we hear these accusations of harassment? How can any woman in any ministry, and indeed in his constituency, our wives, our mothers, our daughters, he should have been removed completely? Of course, there are issues with the others, but more time will give us for it. I did it, in fact, I did it for less than that, when there were allegations of a similar nature, which were far less than, not just the allegations now, these are not only allegations. The story carried in the Express yesterday, and we must commend the Express for their expose in bringing what is transparency to an issue that was covered up in darkness, and in which there was in fact it appears as though there was a conspiracy to cover up this matter, aided and abetted by none other than the Attorney General himself. The matter is totally outrageous at this point in time.
The 2018 sugar harvest began in Barbados on Monday after an agreement was reached with the government on the payment of multi-million-dollar arrears owed to cane farmers. Chairman of the Barbados Sugar Industries Limited, Mark Seeley, said 40% or 5.3 million Barbados dollars of the 8.9 million owed to the farmers would be paid by the end of this week. He said the farmers were promised the remainder would be paid soon, and as a result, farmers started carrying canes to the Port Vale Sugar Factory. Last week, Finance Minister Chris Sinclair said the farmers would have been paid the outstanding funds owed to them, and that money would also be sought for this year's crop. Barbados produced just under 12,000 tons of sugar last year. At least 4 CARICOM nations have been named by the United States as major illicit drug-producing countries. In its 2018 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, the U.S. State Department said the Bahamas, Belize, Haiti, and Jamaica were also major drug transit countries. The report notes that Jamaica remains the largest Caribbean supplier of marijuana to the United States and the Caribbean. It says although cocaine and synthetic drugs are not produced locally, Jamaica is a transit point for drugs trafficked from South America to North America and other international markets. The State Department also named Belize as the lone CARICOM country, which is a major source of a precursor or essential chemicals used in the production of illicit narcotics. Regarding money laundering, Washington named all 15 CARICOM countries whose financial institutions engage in currency transactions involving significant amounts of proceeds from international narcotics trafficking. But it acknowledged that the complex nature of money laundering transactions today makes it difficult in many cases to distinguish the proceeds of narcotics trafficking from the proceeds of other serious crime. The World Trade Organization, the WTO, on Monday named Guyana-born diplomat John Deep Ford as the new chairman of agriculture negotiations, replacing Kenya's ambassador Stephen Ndu Karu. Ford said the main goal is to put the negotiations on a firmer footing and ensure that substantive progress is made towards reaching results that accommodate the interests of all members.
We all recognize the difficulties of 2017, and we all know that things must be done differently. Clearly, we must start by listening. We must start by increasing understanding across the membership. There is a need for analytical work that lays bare where the fault lines are. We need improved evidence. And with that evidence, I hope that we can have consultations that lead to negotiations. It is a period that we are not able to define very clearly what the distribution of time will be for consultations, for negotiations, but we know that there needs to be greater understanding. The interests of the members are very varied, they're very different. We know that the depth of commitment of the ambassadors here in Geneva is immense. We all want to achieve outcomes, but the differences are real, the difficulties must be addressed. We hope that during 2018, we will be able to make progress.
We'll have more news in a moment. Jamaica's health minister dismisses a call for him to resign over his handling of air quality concerns at a hospital. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
There's an island just beyond the horizon, waiting for you to explore its deep treasures. Experience this and more at the Barbados Reggae Festival. 4 of the biggest reggae events, April 22nd to 29th, featuring the superstars of reggae, Maxi Priest, JC Lodge, Everton Blender, Johnny Osborne,
No ice cream sound.
Queen Ifrica, Jaw Cure,
Anytime you need a lover, call on me.
Anthony B, Taurus Riley,
But anytime you decide to pack up your things and leave, don't come back.
Idonia, and many more. Purchase your event tickets from ticketlinks.com. For more details, follow Barbados Reggae Festival on Facebook or Instagram. Barbados, always on.
This month, Caribbean Passport celebrates growth in the tourism sector, with Barbados winning the title of Best Destination in 2017. Grenada promoting Spice Mass. Trinidad and Tobago talks digital transformation, and Antigua and Barbuda heads into their sailing week. This and more coming up next on this station.
Jamaica's Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has dismissed a call for his resignation over the air quality fiasco at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. Doctors and nurses have complained about the quality of air at the facility, and patients were relocated from the main building over the weekend. But the call from the opposition People's National Party for Dr. Tufton to step down followed revelations that a year ago a team of technical experts had recommended the hospital be evacuated in light of the problem. The PNC says Dr. Tufton's decision not to order the evacuation showed he did not have the capacity to lead the health ministry. But he says the clamor for his resignation is just a move to gain political mileage from an unfortunate situation.
I am still trying to determine why that call is necessary, except to sensationalize the issue, which is, frankly speaking, unfortunate, because in all of this, it's not about PNP or JLP. It's about the people on the ground. It's about the provision of critical services, which the hospital has been doing. And it's sad that what appears to be happening is leveraging the unfortunate circumstances around this facility to gain political mileage. So, I dismiss those calls, to be frank, and just keep focus on the work at hand.
Haiti's former police commissioner Guy Philippe is seeking help in fighting his imprisonment in the United States. He was convicted last year for accepting bribes to protect cocaine smugglers who used Haiti to ship drugs to the U.S. His plea agreement allowed him to avoid going to trial on a more serious trafficking charge that could have sent him to prison for the rest of his life. Philippe is reported to have filed an appeal against the 9-year jail term imposed on him on June 21st last year for money laundering and drug trafficking. He has submitted a motion to vacate his conviction to the South Florida Federal Court. And in a letter sent to Speaker of the Senate in Haiti, Joseph Lambert, Philippe, who in 2004 sought to overthrow the government of the then-President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, wrote that he is in need of $125,000 to mount his legal defense. In his letter to the Senate, Philippe said his conviction was unjustified, and he urged the Senate to help him find the money for the advancement of his case. In February this year, it was reported that Philippe dismissed his lawyers on the basis of incompetence. Chinese are increasingly developing a taste for products made in the Caribbean, and the numbers prove it. And officials from Beijing are reporting that moves are already in train for the region to cash in on more of the Chinese market. According to Han Jing, counselor in the Department of Latin America and the Caribbean in China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, trade between Beijing and CARICOM has increased annually, reaching $2.15 billion last year. Of that, China imported $340 million in Caribbean goods, while it exported $1.81 billion in products. Jing says while China's exports to the Caribbean surpass the imports, the rate at which imports are growing has surpassed the export growth rate. Chief among the products in high demand are rum, as well as Jamaica's Blue Mountain coffee, which he said is particularly a favorite of China's high-end consumers. Jing said Grenada has also expressed an interest in exporting its seafood to China. Meantime, China is urging the 4 English-speaking CARICOM nations that have not established diplomatic relations with the Asian country to get with the program. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Belize each have a relationship with Taiwan, which China sees as a breakaway province. The One China policy, which most Caribbean nations adhere to, states that Taiwan is part of China and there is only Chinese government. Jing said respecting that policy is a prerequisite for diplomatic ties with Beijing. He expressed the hope that the leaders of those CARICOM nations that are still holding out will follow the lead of the majority of their CARICOM counterparts. He added that China's door is always open, but stressed that the prime ministers of the 4 CARICOM nations would have to take the initiative to establish formal relationships with Beijing. Jing's comments came as he spoke with 10 journalists from the 9 CARICOM nations that have relations with China: Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, the Bahamas, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. The media workers are participating in the inaugural China Caribbean Press Center program. Facebook users on Monday can discover whether they are among the 87 million members whose data was shared with Cambridge Analytica. All 2.2 billion Facebook users will receive a notice on their feeds titled "Protecting Your Information." The popular social media platform says people will also be shown what apps they use and what data those apps may have gathered. In addition, 87 million users whose data might have been shared with Cambridge Analytica will get a more detailed message informing them of that fact. The investigation follows allegations that the political data mining firm Cambridge Analytica allegedly used ill-gotten Facebook user data in its efforts to sway elections. Cambridge Analytica says it only ever received data on 30 million users. It is alleged that Trinidad and Tobago was one of the test countries for the data mining firm, and that residents of the Twin Island Republic may have been victims of this scandal. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley last week said the matter will be fully investigated by a joint select committee of Parliament. The island's Attorney General, Stuart Young, says they will also be seeking help internationally by those carrying out similar investigations. And ahead in Newsline Sport, Trinidad and Tobago makes history in the women's 100 meters at the Commonwealth Games. We'll tell you who the athlete was after the break.
Follow your heart to the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27 to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Sizzla Longy, Small Axe Band, Nyla Blackman, and Betty Wack. Also, Patti LaBelle, Dijon, New Vibes International, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wayne Wonder. Spikes, August Alsina, Aishona, Byron Messiah, Dasha, Shaka Dimas, and Flyers, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Well, Facebook and social media in general has certainly been in the news lately. As a matter of fact, Facebook was the subject of my rant just last week. So here we are again looking at the immense power wielded by not only Facebook, but also Google and Twitter. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin took a major hit this week as values plummeted on the news that Facebook, Twitter, and Google will no longer accept cryptocurrency-based ads for initial coin offerings and the like.
And pull train on a lot of roll switches or a pack of rhythm.
My name is Jordan Isaacs. I'm technically a rapper. I'm from the Bahamas, and I just released my first music video, FIU. She got involved in music because my friends were having like a freestyle rap session back in high school, talking when we were about 13, 14 years old. And I was just watching, and they dragged me into it. I was absolutely terrible, but it was so fun that I said, you know what, let me
History was made for Trinidad and Tobago when Michelle Lee Ahi captured gold in the women's 100 meters at the Commonwealth Games on Monday. The Trinidadian, who was tipped to win, did not disappoint when she sped to the finish in a time of 11.14 seconds. The victory made Lee Ahi the first female national to win a Commonwealth gold for the Twin Island Republic. Jamaican Christiana Williams clocked 11.21 to clinch silver, while countrywoman Gayon Evans took bronze in 11.22 seconds.
Away in the 100-metre final, Michelle A.E. gets away to a very good start. The challenge, though, comes in the inside lane coming from Khalifa St. Fort, but it will be, in fact, the athlete from Trinidad and Tobago. History is made. History is made. Michelle Lee A.E. takes the gold medal in a very good time of 11.14 seconds. And isn't she delighted? What a performance from the pre-race favourite. It's all one thing being a pre-race favourite. You've got to stand up, you've got to deliver, and she has done that. And Christina Williams of Jamaica will take the silver medal in a time of 11.21. Gayon Evans of Jamaica, the bronze medal in a personal best time of 11.22.
And Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley offered a congratulatory note to the new 100-metre Commonwealth champion. In a statement, the TNT leader said Ahi's superb performance was undoubtedly the result of hard work and dedication developed over the course of many years. Rowley says the distinction of becoming the first woman to win a Commonwealth gold medal for Trinidad and Tobago in the 100-metre sprint will no doubt inspire other young women and girls to aim for similar excellence in the field of sport. The Prime Minister also congratulated silver medalist Dylan Carter, who also made history for Trinidad and Tobago in securing the country's first ever swimming medal at the Commonwealth Games. Carter won the medal in the 50-metre butterfly on Friday. Rowley says both Lee Ahi and Carter, as well as other athletes, have trained rigorously and sacrificed considerably along the way to accomplish their goals. Their efforts, he said, are extremely admirable and certainly uplift the nation. However, there was no such glory in the men's final for hot favourite Johan Blake, who stumbled out of the blocks, failed to significantly recover, and could only get bronze after finishing in 10.19 seconds. South African Akani Simbini swept gold in 10.03, dragging teammate Enrique Brunches with him for silver in 10.17. The result was a massive disappointment for Jamaican Blake, widely viewed as the heir apparent to recently retired legend Usain Bolt.
Blake goes in lane 7. Simbine next to him in lane 8. Hyman over in lane 4. Where will the medals go? Men's 100-metre final. Away cleanly, Blake gets up and into, he's really just stumbling though now, has to pick up again, Hyman leading it, over on the far side, in fact Rogers is in the lead, and Simbine is coming away, it's going to be Simbine's goal, Simbine gets it, Brunches might have got the silver as well, it could be a South African one too, Blake stuttered and faltered out of the blocks, what on earth went wrong for the Jamaican?
Switching sports now, Jamaica's star football coach Theodore Whitmore handed in his resignation over the weekend. Whitmore, who took up the position in 2006, has been at loggerheads with the Jamaica Football Federation over wage negotiations. He was a key figure in Jamaica's World Cup campaign in France in 1998 and previously coached Jamaica from 2009 to 2013. In this report from TVJ's Kenon Rayner, JFF President Michael Ricketts says he was in the dark about Whitmore calling it quits from national duty.
It's a saga that has been dragged out since the Jamaica Football Federation revealed in October last year that 1998 World Cup star Theodore Tapper Whitmore had been offered a 2-year contract. But with Whitmore not accepting the terms of the contract due to the low pay package, the talks between him and the JFF has been going on without a resolution. 2 months ago, JFF President Michael Ricketts said he was given a month by Whitmore to sort out his contract, while 2 weeks ago, Whitmore revealed he was asked by the President to give him another month. But TVJ Sports sources revealed on Friday that the wait is over, as Whitmore has decided enough is enough and has sent in his resignation. Sources at the JFF who spoke on condition of not being named confirmed with TVJ Sports on Friday that Whitmore had indeed sent in his resignation, but the president denied receiving one.
The first I'm hearing that.
The first you're hearing this?
Yeah. When was that?
We're hearing that this would have taken place in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Well, at first I'm hearing that.
Have you been in contact with Coach Whitmore, any at all? What's the latest with the contractual negotiations?
Discussed that with Coach Whitmore. He and I were supposed to have had a meeting on Thursday. For the same time I was trying to get the Antiguans to go to court. We had a 2 o'clock meeting. I left the office at 20 to 3. On my way down to the narcotics department, I got a call from him to say that he was at the late. So I told him that I was on my way down there. And we spoke the following day and to reschedule a meeting. I really don't know about that.
Calls to Coach Whitmore's phone went unanswered up to Sports Time. According to our sources, Whitmore's resignation had to do with much more than just his salary. Whitmore, who was in his 4th stint at the helm, was reportedly earning US $3,000 per month, a far cry from the US $45,000 that was being paid to the previous coach, Winfried Schäfer of Germany.
And over to netball, Jamaica's Sunshine Girls won their 3rd on the bounce yesterday when they whipped Northern Ireland 79-41 at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre to remain unbeaten in Pool A. They stormed to a 17-11 lead at the end of the first quarter and never eased up, increasing their lead in every period, especially in the final one where they completely dominated their opponents. Goal shooter Janelle Fowler-Reid was nearly perfect, scoring 32 from 33 attempts, while Romelda Aiken shot 26 of 28 in her stint also at goal shooter. Goal attack Rebecca Robinson chipped in with 10 from 11. For the Irish, goal shooter Lisa Bowman scored 23 from 32 attempts and was supported by her sister Kyla, who weighed in with 11 from 16. And that's the sport. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Follow your heart to the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27 to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Sizzler Lungi, Small Axe Band, Nyla Blackman, and Betty Watt. Also, Patti LaBelle, Dijon, New Vibes International, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wayne Wonder. Fight, August Alsina, Aishona, Byron Messiah, Dasha, Shaka Dimas, and Flyers, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
The top stories as we go. A multi-jurisdictional investigation launched into an alleged plot to kill Jamaica's former National Security Minister. And in sport, history was made for Trinidad and Tobago when Michelle Lee Ahi captured gold in the women's 100 meters at the Commonwealth Games. That's Caribbean Newsline. For more news and sports around the clock, check ConneNews.com. We'll be here again tomorrow. Hope to see you then. From all of us here at CMC News, thank you for viewing. Good night.